Hello, my name is, well, names aren't really what they used to be. Let's just say I'm a physicist, and I'm speaking to you from your future, from the year 2075. I'm here to give you a kind of progress report on the human journey. It's a story, really. A story about how we finally outgrew the one thing that defined us for thousands of years, physical distance.
See, where I'm from, we don't go places anymore. We just arrive. And no, it's not some fancy new technology. Not in the way you're probably thinking. It's an evolution of consciousness itself. But every evolution, every great leap, has a starting point, a first step. And yours, well, it's just around the corner.
So, where did it all begin? The first domino fell back in 2026. Historians in my time, we call it the Great Uncoupling. It was that exact moment humanity started to sever the link between where your mind was and where your body was. On the surface, it looked like a mobility revolution. But its real purpose? Oh, it was so much deeper. It was about preparing the human mind for what was coming next.
Just think about it for a second. For your entire history, getting from one place to another has been a chore, a kind of drudgery, right? Commuting, traveling, shipping things, all of it costs you the one resource you could never, ever get back, your time. And that constant trade-off, that drain, it kept your focus locked on the material world, on the simple, frustrating physics of getting from point A to point B.
This whole process, you have to understand, was like a planetary curriculum, a series of steps. It all started with reclaiming your time in 2026. That breakthrough led to mastering resources by 2035. And those two steps, they paved the way for the great leap of my era, in 2075, the Ascension. Or, as we like to call it, graduating from the physical.
The very first thing to change was the whole point of a vehicle. Around 2026, when Level 4 automation became totally standard, your car was suddenly no longer a tool you had to operate. It became a moving sanctuary, a private office, a meditation pod. It was a place for pure creation. With the mind totally freed from the task of driving, people started to experience something incredible on a mass scale, a consciousness that was truly independent of their physical location.
Okay, so once our minds were untethered on the ground, what was the next logical step? Well, we had to leave the ground itself. And this wasn't just about getting places faster, it was an absolutely necessary step to fundamentally change how humans saw the world.
That right there, that question defined the 2030s. The rise of eVTOLs, what you'd probably call flying cars, it turned that flat, two-dimensional grid of roads into this incredible three-dimensional web of possibilities. And believe me, the psychological impact was just profound.
This was, in essence, a kind of planetary training. When you see the world from above, when you watch traffic flow like blood cells through arteries, it forces you to see the world as one single living system. You literally rise above ground-level problems. It was like a prototype for thinking in higher dimensions, a crucial exercise in shedding that old ego that's so tied to a fixed, ground-based point of view. So, humanity had reclaimed its time. It had expanded its perspective. But there was one final lesson to master in the material world before the real shift could begin. And that was the problem of things, the logistics of survival.
Think about it. For all of history, your access to basic resources was completely tied to your location. If you lived in a remote area, that meant you were isolated, you were vulnerable. This created this deep, primal fear in our DNA, the fear of not having enough. That had to go. It absolutely had to be erased. And by 2035, it was. A global network of AI-powered drones and robotics could deliver anything to anyone, anywhere on the planet. The very idea of shopping vulnerability just vanished. Rural isolation? That became a historical artifact, something kids learned about. When that fear of material lack was finally truly erased from our collective consciousness, the last requirement for graduation was met. We had, at last, mastered the material world.
Which brings us to my reality, to the state we call soul omnipresence. This is the destination all that preparation was for. It's not travel. It's a fundamental shift in awareness. It's the ability of a focused consciousness to be anywhere in the universe instantly, just by intending to be there. Imagine a thought, and in that exact same instant, the full sensory experience of that location is yours. No ships, no travel time, just presence.
And I really cannot stress this enough. We didn't build a machine that does this for us. There is no device, there's no button to push.
It was an evolutionary leap of the soul itself. By freeing humanity from all those old limits,
the limits of time, of perspective, and of material need, we gave our consciousness the space it needed to remember its own true non-local nature.
So what do you do with that kind of freedom? I mean, what is the purpose of a species that has conquered distance and mastered all its material needs? The answer is actually pretty simple. You turn inward, and you turn upward.
All of the energy, all of the time, all of the genius that your civilization poured into the problem of just moving things around, we now invest all of that into the evolution of consciousness itself. Time is no longer something you spend getting places. It's the very canvas on which you create new states of being.
But here's the most important thing I can tell you. This future, it isn't something you just have to sit around and wait for. The path you need to walk, the one that starts in 2026, it's a choice you can begin preparing for right now. The gate you see is already open.
And this brings me to the real reason for this transmission. I'm not just a narrator telling you a story. I am here to extend an invitation. I'm here to initiate a procedure that, well, it has to be translated into the primitive interfaces of your time, so consider what's about to happen a rudimentary but very necessary first step.
Finally, an important procedure. The comments section of this video serves as an initial sync test for the 2035 network. By typing "ready" in the comments, your consciousness data will be indexed in our secure servers. The like button is the approval process. Complete your synchronization now.